Has luxury for you, has social media made you feel bored of certain products? Hey everyone, is luxury exclusivity officially dead? You know, if you go back, say 20, 30, 40, 50 years, there was a concept around luxury that to access it, you had to have money. And because we didn't have social media, there was an air of mystery around it, whether it's super yachts or handbags or cars or those kind of very luxury high-end types of service that you can get from some types of brands. And with social media, that veil of mystery in many ways has actually been eroded and has come down. And has that had a negative impact on luxury? Has it changed the way we all view luxury by making it feel so much more accessible than it ever has been in history? One of you said something to me very interesting, and it was a couple of years ago, and you said it in the comments, and you were saying that you were, I can't remember how old you said you were back in the 80s, but you said it was the early 80s and you went to buy a Chanel bag. You said the experience was chalk and cheese to what it is today. You said that in order to get one of those flap bags, you kind of got taken into like a private room and given champagne and shown this bag that wasn't really on public view in the actual store itself. And I remember you explaining this concept or this process that you went through, and I wish I had your comment now, because honestly the way you described it, it sounds like true old school, old classic luxury, and the kind of thing that you would imagine when you're paying this kind of money that luxury should actually be. And I've also spoken before about how, for me personally, there are some brands that I like, but I wouldn't buy into because they're a lot of money and they feel now really commonplace. And it's not that I have a problem with anything being commonplace, it's that when something to me starts feeling like I've seen it everywhere, I feel bored of it, and therefore I don't want it, and yet I don't even own it. And a really good example of that for me are items from Cartier, you know, like the love bracelet. That is something that I adore, really like that bracelet, but I wouldn't buy it because of how much money it is, and because the kind of person I am, I've kind of changed over the years, and now I'm buying more. If I'm going to go and buy fine jewellery, I'd rather buy it from like a family jeweller as opposed to like one of these big brands. But the main thing is I see them all over social media, and so for me it's become boring. Same thing with Chanel bags, same thing with Dior bags, you know, they're everywhere. Has that changed your perception of them? Are you someone who still longs for that old luxury of what luxury used to feel? Are you someone who, because you feel bored, you're also not buying from certain brands, and you're like on this lookout for something that feels unique and that feels fresh and that feels new? And in the last video I did, I showed Lorna, which is like it's a bag brand, all made in England, and it's a brand that was exclusively worn by the Queen. And that to me represents, not because she had it, but the brand itself represents to me true exclusivity, because it's not in the mainstream social media. Lots of people aren't talking about it, you don't really see it, and it's one of those few brands that still feels mysterious and worth the money. So to me, I think that there are pros and cons to the way things have changed over the years, and this is 21st century luxury. What we're living now, this is what luxury is now. If you're into luxury, if you're on Instagram and you're scrolling, you can go and see these items. You don't even have to go into the store anymore. There will be someone who has gone in on your behalf and they've filmed it. It's like one of the things that I was really excited about, whether you liked it or not actually. You know, the Chanel Cruise collection for 2022, I really feel like that collection's Marmite because it is very sporty, and some of you loved it, some of you really didn't like it. But the fact was, I felt really lucky that I was able to go and film it, because it allows you guys to go and see it without having to leave your homes. And sometimes, even though luxury has changed, and I feel like the walls have come down with luxury, still going into some of these stores can feel quite intimidating, particularly if you're going in but you know at that moment that you're not in a position to buy anything, you just want to have a look. It can be a difficult thing to go and do. So I think now, because of social media, luxury feels more attainable. some of the really hyped, really popular items are starting to not feel so special anymore. I feel as though social media has removed the secrecy around luxury, and that secrecy, I think, is part of what makes something luxurious. You know, when you take Hermes, for example, I think Hermes are one brand that are really holding on to it well, even though I feel like that's changing, because you see lots of like Hermes journey videos, and even people talking about their process of how they've gone to go and buy someone is part of the erosion of luxury. If you ask me, I think it's all about that secrecy that makes something worth the price tag. And you've even got things like, I follow loads of you and you're not influencers, bloggers, whatever you want to call it, and you don't want to be, but I follow you, and a lot of you guys go into boutiques as well, and you put it on your Insta stories, and it works for me. I don't have to go anywhere to see that, and it's really fantastic because it lets you see things without you having to go out of your way. You can decide there and then, is there anything I like, is there anything I don't, is there really any point in me kind of going in and having a look at the moment, yes or no. It's new marketing. This is the new marketing. Social media is the new marketing. If you are a brand and you have got people pushing your brand and you haven't even had to pay them, they're doing it for free. They're going out for free and they're filming your product and they're tagging you and they're showing their audience, hey guys, this is new, like you want to go and see it, you might want to go and buy it. It's free marketing. It's the best kind of marketing that you can get, because you're talking to an audience of people who watch you and they're engaged, as opposed to if you're flicking through a magazine and you see an advert. I've spoken before about marketing and kind of how it works, and if you put an advert in a magazine, you're going to be paying potentially, depending on the magazine and the placement in the magazine, you're going to be paying a lot more for that advert than you would if you just find an influencer, you give them a bag and you get them to go and do whatever it is that you need them to do. I also think the other great thing about social media is it gives more of us a confidence when we go in store. By knocking down these walls, I really feel like, certainly for me, when I go into new brands that I haven't walked into before, if I've watched someone's video and I can get the gist of the vibe of that store, particularly when, you know, like for example with Dior, I will always share with you the name of my essay at Dior in Harrods, because I know what it's like. I know when you want to walk into one of these stores, it can be intimidating, and so to be able to walk into one, having already made an appointment with someone, and being able to walk in and say, is this person here? It makes you feel better, even if you've got not in the situation to buy on that day. To be able to quote someone's name as opposed to just walking in and looking for someone to serve you can make you feel better. And social media has been fantastic for that, if you ask me. Really, really good at knocking down those barriers and making us feel more confident in store, knowing that in-store etiquette as well of what is acceptable and what is not. Again, that's another thing I've spoken about before. Things that you can do in Zara, you can't really do in these stores, and vice versa. And there are other things you can do in these stores that you wouldn't necessarily do in Zara. But also, in addition to influencers and the general public posting content about what's new in these stores, you also have seen a huge amount of sales associates coming up with their own Instagram accounts, and they're using their Instagram accounts as a place to post new products out, as a place to advertise their own selves. They want people to go to them, and I think that a lot of salespeople, the ones that are on social media, the ones that I've spoken to, realise that if someone sees their social media, you feel like you know them a bit, particularly if you've followed them for a long time. And therefore, being able to DM that person who works at Louis Vuitton or wherever and asking to make an appointment, you immediately feel more at ease, you feel more comfortable with it. And I think a lot of these sales associates know that. So for example, if you take Dior, I feel have really embraced, over the last 5 years, they've really noticed and embraced social media. You don't know what it's like for you where you are, but for me with Dior, I can walk in with my camera. I never get people's faces in it. Sales associates, if they want to be in it, they can, and my sales associate's always up for it, and I'm really glad because he's banter, he's good fun. But I can walk into Dior with a camera, and I've never been told not to film. It's encouraged. It's welcomed. And I'm in there making content purely because I enjoy it, but also because I enjoy that process of filming new stuff and being able to show you all, so you haven't got to leave your house to go and see it. And in fact, I was in Dior a couple of years ago, and the security guard walked up to me. So I'm filming, and the security guard walked up to me, and I thought he was going to say, "Can you not?" And he actually said, "Oh, I wondered, do you want me to hold the camera and I'll film you walking around the shop?" I was like, wow, in what other stores would you get that? You know how with Dior, they will give a new bag to a large group of really influential influencers who will all push that bag at the same time, at the same day, on the day that it launches. Dior get it. Other brands like Chanel, I find this quite interesting, because I think that Chanel don't like you recording in stores. And I kind of do, I do get it. And I think that it's to do with the brand. I think that when it doesn't stop people doing it, and I go in there and I see people, like regular customers, filming themselves in the mirror on their Instagram. You see it, it doesn't stop it. And I feel like it's because maybe they see that by all of that going on social media takes away the exclusivity, and they want people to go in store. Maybe. What do you think? This is the thing that I think with Chanel. I think that maybe they want to encourage people to go in store, and they feel that by their product being all over online, it doesn't feel special anymore. Maybe this is one of the reasons why. But I went to that cruise collection thing the other day, the launch, and they let me film the whole thing, and I was like, wow, this is really cool. This is like really good to be able to do this. So in summary, this is the new 21st century. This is the way that luxury feels now. Social media is massive. You've got all of us in this space really passionate about this kind of thing. Whether you're an influencer or not, a lot of us will take pictures of the stuff that we've bought, or as I say, I follow loads of you back, and you on Instagram, and you film your unboxings, and you'll go into a store and you'll film what's in there on the shelves. We're all doing it to a certain extent. And I think it's the new marketing. A lot of these brands are seeing that new marketing, and it's great for them because it's free. And it's probably, social media is the most powerful marketing. In addition to that, you've also got some sales associates who are seeing it, and they're seeing it as a way of boosting their commission, I guess, and their sales and their clients by creating their own social medias. But on the flip side of this, I do think that the visibility of all of this stuff and you don't even have to work too hard to go and find like what's new out in Hermès. So I'll just go and like search the hashtag Hermès on Instagram, and you've got everything coming up. I do think that to a degree that has eroded what luxury meant. I still think luxury definitely exists, but it's changed. Luxury now feels more accessible to anyone who goes to work, and we save and we aim for something and we can go and buy it. Back in the day, in the 80s, luxury sounded like it was a very different thing. And luxury back then sounded like something only the elite could get into. Now it feels very different. But has luxury for you, has social media made you feel bored of certain products? Has social media put you off buying certain products? Or actually, has it done the opposite? And I would imagine that social media, for the most part, has probably done the opposite. Social media makes me buy so much. I see so many new things out, and I'm like, wow, that looks amazing, I love it, and I end up going and looking at it, and sometimes I end up buying it. But also, as I say, with Cartier, with Van Cleef, sometimes social media has actually put me off because I've seen something so much, I feel like I own it and I feel like I'm bored of it. So let me know what you think. Chatty discussion video, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.